A pause in between.
Hi, Archana. So, thank you so much for taking our time today to share your experiences. I'm very eager to hear from you. So, let me know, how has your experience been on this program with us?
First up, Amisha, it's been a great pleasure working with you. We've seen some very difficult times together, and
Yeah,
thank you for holding my hand through this journey. It really means a lot. And I'm delighted to be doing this video testimonial with you today. In
yeah,
terms of how the program has been so far, honestly, it's changed my life completely. I have tapped into all of the knowledge and wisdom that I've learned over a period of time, and my routine is unrecognizable from 3 months ago to now. And of course, we'll talk about a lot about those changes, but it's been, if I were to talk about just two words, it's been educational and enlightening in every aspect of life and good health
yeah.
overall.
I'm so glad your experience has been such great. So you came with IBS, that is irritable bowel syndrome, and 9 out of 12 of your symptoms have been reversed. Did you expect this kind of change in such a short period of time?
Honestly, I didn't know that's what I had when I came to you. I
Yeah,
think it was helpful to get a diagnosis to say, hey, this is what it is, because I had a suspicion, but I wasn't sure.
yeah,
And this is something I wanted to share with everyone who's watching. I really kept quiet about it for a very long time and suffered. And I'm so glad I decided to talk about it and get help. And in terms of reversing the symptoms, I really did not think so. Because honestly, I didn't even know what was wrong. I just knew that I wasn't able to eat anything anymore, and I didn't know why. So yeah, I'm really happy with the progress that we've made so far.
yeah. Because so did you even think this was reversible before joining us? I mean, because nowadays this IBS has been creeping a lot, and people think that it's not reversible and you have to stay lifelong with this condition. So were you kind of scared that you won't be able to reverse this or something?
Honestly, I think it's been just 3 months. And when we talk about gut dysbiosis, which is where I've empowered all the bad bacteria to sort of destroy all of the good bacteria, it takes at least a 6 month window, is what I understand, for
Yeah,
the system to stabilize.
yeah,
And from where I am now, I feel a lot more empowered. But I do think that I will have to keep a lookout on my diet and make sure that I follow the protocols. But where I feel empowered is in that when I eat something that I have a reaction to, I know how to cut it out immediately and to sort of take better care of myself and avoid that going forward.
yeah.
So, in terms of reversal, I think that's how I look at it. I don't see it as a lifelong condition, but I see it as a proactive approach to taking care of my health and watching what I put in my system, given I understand I have a sensitive system.
Yeah. And we had not just Roshni, not just me, we also had this Dr. Gorham's consultations. So was having the combination of this support of, Dr. Gorham from a functional medicine perspective and Roshni and my help as a, nutrition and motivation perspective, like the combination, was this helpful to you?
I definitely think so because I had, like I said, gotten to a stage where I couldn't eat anything. So the holistic approach, where we said, hey, you need medicines for this, but then we're going to back you up with all of these recipes and specific ingredients that you need to include in your diet, along with the low FODMAP recipes.
Yeah.
It was really, really helpful. I think the holistic approach, not just in health, I feel like in every area where you bring in diverse elements, because I think the challenge is that the situation has gotten a lot more complex, especially in terms of the kind of food we are eating now and the kind of unhealthy food that's just so readily available.
Yeah.
So, a holistic approach sort of solves for all of the symptoms and also helps a bit of actual medicinal healing, which was required, especially in my case.
Yeah. Because nowadays a lot of like people, what they do is they have medicines, they have, but they don't back it by nutrition. So I think in your case the combination of nutrition, lifestyle changes, as well as the functional medicine supplements, they all work together really well in terms of giving you results. uh, so No, we had a lot of lifestyle changes and we had certain functional foods, superfoods added. What are the top three lifestyle changes you think you have picked from this program?
Honestly, I've changed my whole life based on the inputs I learned here. But if I were to talk about three that I am continuing since my program ended, and I'm also going to continue going forward, is intermittent fasting, or more specifically, time restricted eating, where I do not eat anything for a 14-hour window and then I eat in a 10-hour window. I feel a lot lighter. I plan my meals a lot more carefully because I have a small window. I don't have any time for junk because if the time by the time I check all the right boxes of what I need to eat, I'm done. And it helped me become more mentally agile and physically active as well. I think so. That's something I'm going to continue. The second thing is the circadian rhythm, following the circadian rhythm. I'm a writer, and I'm this creative person who thought I can only be creative later in the night, and then I wake up really late, and I now understand the impact that it's had over my health. So now I wake up by 6:45 and I go to bed by 10:30, and I get 10 minutes of sunlight. So that's something I'm going to definitely continue doing. And the third thing is, and I think Amisha, you emphasize this a lot, where you're like, you have to cover all of the food groups, you have to cover all of the food groups. And
Yeah,
to start with, I honestly didn't even know what the food groups were until I saw the list and then you had
yeah,
me check them off.
yeah.
So I understand why it's important to include one thing from every food group on a daily basis. Those three things.
I'm so glad you're taking away such beautiful lifestyle changes and you'll be following this even after you're not there on the program with us. Uh, so we had these weekly food diary check-ins and all. So did you feel there were some destructive food habits you realized about yourself throughout the program and you were able to change the same?
I'm able to laugh about this now, but it really wasn't the situation earlier, because when I look at my food diary now versus earlier, I understand I was on a high sugar, low fiber diet, and I now know that's a very dangerous thing.
Yeah.
And I went from about 8 spoons of sugar in a day, refined white sugar, to now I have, say, about 1 spoon of sugar in a week. And I'm also losing the need to have it. It's more like it's this thing that I really want to have.
Yeah.
But I think I will stop that over a period of time as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's one big major change. And I also started reading the labels. Thanks to you, with all of the feedback that I've received from Roshni and you, to say, hey, sugar, like,
Mhm.
let's talk about this. And there are so many names for sugar as well.
Yeah.
And the other thing is also dairy. I think Roshni has helped me sort of rewire a lot of my understanding of dairy and what I think it was versus what it is actually. So I think, yeah, those two things.
Yeah. And I'm so glad. I mean, this is such a big change. And of course, when you're looking it at like from a sustainable point of view, coming from 8 spoons of sugar, daily to only 1 spoon of sugar in 3 months, it's such a very big change. And I appreciate you doing that so swiftly and, easily, making it
Thank
look
you.
easy. Yeah. And so how, in terms of overall, how do you feel mentally and physically now versus 12 weeks back when you joined the program?
I think both mentally and physically, I feel a lot more confident. I think I'm still identifying what works, what doesn't. So I do have those moments, but overall, I know more of what I can do to fix things than I did before. And I think that's really, really helpful.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot more in control of my overall health. And what I mean by that is I understand there are certain nutritional points I need to get. And so, for instance, I can just always open Zomato and order something in. I'd feel full, but it's really not checking any of the boxes. And it goes back to what you explained to me about the concept of 0 calories. You're like, hey, you can eat all of that, but then you're really not zero nutrition, not calories.
Yeah.
So empty calories, I think that's the terminology that you used.
Yeah.
So I'm very wary of empty calories now. So when I put something into my system, I'm like, hey, what are you bringing to my table?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big deal for me. So yeah, thank
And
you.
I mean, I still remember it was just week one of your plan with us. And on the very first follow up, you were telling Amisha, my gut feels like it's thanking me from inside for putting all these nutrients. So, yeah, I can relate to what you feel.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so, in terms of now, when I say about the weekly phone calls, do you feel these weekly phone calls were motivating and productive for you in your journey?
They were. I think both, actually, all the calls with Roshni and the team, I really looked forward to. And I prepare a lot for them. I
Yeah,
spend a lot of time
yeah,
because I feel like what I'm learning here, I'm going to follow for the rest of my life. So it's setting up the nutritional foundation for my life. And having been through what I have, I take that very seriously. And I think in terms of the changes I've made, they've been pretty drastic ones. For instance, I didn't know what whole food, plant based diet was.
yeah,
And to now actually implementing close to about 85% of it, it's quite a big deal for me.
yeah,
I've never cooked millets before. I didn't know, I wouldn't know to name the millets. I knew they existed, but now I'm cooking them. I'm making rotis with them, and
yeah,
I'm making pulao with millets.
yeah,
And I think all of this, and the number of questions I had with all of this, because hey, how long do you soak? And I've also realized that whole food plant-based diet requires a lot of preparation.
yeah,
It's sort of a lot of planning and meticulous execution. Otherwise, you're caught off guard because if you haven't soaked something, then you don't have it ready when you have to cook it. And you can't get it immediately either. So I think your support in terms of answering all of my questions, hey, do I soak dates or do I just eat them? And thank you so much. It means a
no,
lot.
it's my pleasure, Archana. I mean, used to enjoy, answering your questions, and I think you made that process very smooth and easier because, we had these Excel sheets maintained. So whenever you had those questions, you used to write there, and I used to answer them, and it was all in one track. So even you could see, even we had, trackers for your bowel movements, your symptoms, day-to-day symptoms, and so it helped tracking your progress so easily. And in terms of the bowel movement tracker, I mean, in initial periods it was like type 1, type 7, type 3, so it was ranging from constipation to diarrhea to sometimes loose stools or something. And then since the last month, the last 2 weeks, consistently when I saw that type 4 stools, that is a normal, normal consistency, it was so I was so glad to see that that was a really good change. So we had, provided you certain recipes, like as I told, we started with low FODMAP protocol, and then once you were able to tolerate foods better, we moved towards medium and then normal. So, any recipes which you can pick and you loved out of the plan?
I think my palate has changed to favor more healthy food, and I think that's a big deal for me. And what I mean by that is, if I have to pick one, there's the dragon fruit smoothie bowl. It's something that I sit down to eat, and I enjoy it as a meal. And earlier, I thought desserts were that tasty thing in my life, but oh my, I love collecting ingredients for this and creating it.
Yeah,
And I also made the mushroom mutter the other day with the cashew gravy.
yeah,
And I was like, wow, this tastes almost like something
yeah,
that I would order. And I was honestly shocked, but pleasantly shocked, which is a
yeah,
rare occurrence.
yeah,
And the other thing was pasta. Well, chickpea pasta with cauliflower sauce. Like, I would never have imagined, but it turned out well enough. Like, of course, the pasta wasn't like maida or
yeah,
refined flour,
yeah,
but for the healthy content that it provides, I think it's absolutely worth it.
yeah,
So yeah, and I think all of the smoothies, it's something I really enjoy
yeah,
creating and having.
yeah,
And now I understand overnight oats as well. The first time I was like, what does this even mean? Like oats is quick cooking, oats is quicker in my
yeah,
head.
yeah,
But now I understand, oh, there's something called rolled oats, and then you soak it overnight, and it's all very exciting. Initially, it was quite difficult.
yeah,
But
I-
now I think I understand it. Like I know why I do it. So
yeah.
yeah, thank
I remember like initially, like if some portions used to like be out of the plan you're following, then you used to get symptoms. But I think you catched up very like quickly. Like once you understood, okay, these portions are working for me, and then you were swiftly going through the plan. There was no looking back then.
I
Uh,
think going back to what you're saying,
yeah,
portion sizes, how important they are, is something I really learned from the program.
yeah,
And I've been watching a lot of health related videos as well, especially along the subjects that we've discussed.
yeah,
And this doctor was talking about, hey, we have no idea about the portion sizes. Like we're really eating way more than we need to.
yeah,
And I was like, this much is enough for me, and I feel active and I feel fresh. So
yeah,
yeah, that really helped set the foundation for me.
yeah. In fact, I think I would say if we look at it like a quality perspective rather than the quantity perspective, uh, you were not eating this much before, I think, and like now you're eating a lot more food, but much more nourishes food, like nutritious food.
Yes, yes. And I feel lighter, which
Yeah.
I was, again, it's the conversation I had with Roshni. It was a pretty long discussion. I was like, I'm eating a lot of food, but why am I not feeling full? And she's like, well, you're eating so much fiber, and that's
Mm.
good for your system. So, yeah.
That's the beauty of whole food, plant-based food
Yeah.
like diet, you know. So lastly, would you recommend this program to any of your friends or family members who are looking for advice?
I definitely would, which is why I'm doing this video call with you. The thing I would add is this is a serious program, and I think what I really loved about how you and Roshni and the team sort of handled the whole situation is that you practice what you preach.
Yeah,
And that's very evident in how you come across, be it how Roshni explains about dairy or how particular you are about certain things, where I'm like, hey, half spoon of this, and you're like, think about it. Like, what is it? What is it that you're trying to do? So I think it's rare to work with people who actually practice what they preach, and the level of depth and passion and commitment you bring to this is really admirable.
yeah,
And also, for anybody who wants to follow this, I would say it's a lot of work. But I've also realized that in the kind of world that we've created now, it does take a lot of work to get access to and eat healthily, which is something I was honestly sad about, because before I knew it, I would go to the mall and the food court would be my paradise.
yeah,
But the other day I was going to watch a movie and I'm planning. I'm thinking like, what do I eat from where? And I'm like, really, there isn't anything healthy that would check my boxes. So I packed a little and then I ate there a little. So
yeah,
yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but to me, it's worth it. And
yeah.
I am going to continue and I will put in the work.
Yeah. And I think with this style of working, I think initially, of course, you're new to the plan and new to the style of eating. But once you get used to it, I think sustainable changes, meaning like matching these changes with your lifestyle and, making the changes best out of the situations you have at hand. Like, for example, you had that work travel for your conference, and the very on the day of return you texted me that, hey Amisha, my food choices have changed completely. Like, you never imagine yourself making such healthy choices even when you're traveling. So I think sustainability wise, yeah, this is the way you follow. Yeah, of course, initially there is a lot of work, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty, the process is very beautiful. So I think I have all your answers for me. One last thing, what would you like to tell to people who are struggling with this condition right now, or like because this IBS term, it was not given much awareness before. Nowadays, it's creeping a lot, especially in teenagers and young people. So obviously not just young people, but all age groups. What advice or what motivation or inspirational tips you would like to give to people who are struggling with IBS right now?
I think one of the first things is to even be comfortable talking about it, which I think it's one of those sensitive issues, I think.
Yeah,
And I didn't reach out proactively to get the help I needed because I was not comfortable having these kind of conversations. To now working up the courage. And I think a lot of that came with working with you and your team. with Roshni and team, because you helped me understand that hey, it's just a bodily function, just like anything else, and we have to nourish and take care of the whole system. So I would say that yeah, it's okay to talk about these things, and it's okay to get the help that you need. And the second thing is, there is a lot of information out there, especially on the internet as well, with a lot of people talking about the symptoms and how they manage it. And what was really heartening was so much of it came from the heart space, just like the work that you all do,
Yeah.
that it felt like I wasn't alone. And I think, yeah, so just know that it takes courage, but you can sort of reach out, and there are people who can help. And it, yeah, you can get through this. It takes work, but you can get through this. So, yeah, that's what I'd like to say.
Thank you so much, Archana, for your time today and for this beautiful journey you have shared with us. Uh,